Welcome back to BHookedCrochet.com. I'm your host Brittany. In this video I will demonstrate how to crochet a 4-leaf clover. You can find the free written pattern at BHookedCrochet.com, and I'll leave the link to that pattern in the description below. To complete one 4-leaf clover, you will need 9.5 yards of worsted weight yarn. I'll be using Red Heart Super Saver in the color Spring Green. You'll also need a size 5mm crochet hook, a darning needle, and a pair of scissors. We're going to begin our 4-leaf clover by creating a slip knot. And now we need to chain 3. Now we'll join to that first chain in order to make a ring. So we're just going to slip stitch. Slip stitch into that first chain. Next we need to chain 8. And then we're going to immediately slip stitch into the center of our ring. So just insert that hook and slip stitch. And what we've done there is created the foundation for one of the petals of our 4-leaf clover. So we're going to repeat that 3 more times. We'll chain 8, and slip stitch into the center of the ring. Chain 8 again. Slip stitch into the center of the ring. Chain 8. Slip stitch into the center of the ring. And at this point we have the foundation for all 4 of the petals of the 4-leaf clover, and now we're going to work on the stem. To create the stem we need to chain 10. Next we're going to skip the first chain, so the chain that's right there next to the hook, and we're going to slip stitch into that second chain from the hook. And we'll also slip stitch into each of the remaining chains. Once you've slip stitched into all of your chains, we're going to finish off this round by slip stitching again into the center of the ring. And that's going to secure the stem in place, and that's going to get us started on round 2. To begin round 2, we're going to immediately start working into this foundation to create the first petal. So from where we were from the previous round where we slip stitched into the center of the ring, we're just going to make a single crochet into that first chain 8 space. Then we need to half double crochet into that same space, and then we'll make 4 double crochets, Then we need to make 2 treble crochets. So we'll wrap 2 times to make our treble crochets. Next we're going to double crochet 1 time, then we'll half double crochet, and single crochet. At this point we have reached the middle of the first petal, so now we're going to work that same stitch sequence backwards down the other side. So we'll need to half double crochet, then double crochet, and make 2 treble crochets, and then next we're going to make 4 double crochets, then half double crochet, and single crochet. And that finishes off the stitches for the first petal. And now what we want to do is slip stitch again into the center of the ring. You want to do this a little bit tight. This is going to hold the petal into the proper position, and if this stitch is a little too loose, then you'll have a pretty big opening here in between each of the petals. So now we're basically at the same point that we were when we started off. We've got the slip stitch into the center of the ring, and now we're ready to start working the second petal. And we're going to do this in the exact same way. We're going to use the same stitch pattern, and again you can find this written pattern available at BHookedCrochet.com. I'm going to go through the petal one more time, and we'll continue on with this pattern. Single crochet, then half double crochet, and 4 double crochet, now 2 treble crochets, double crochet, half double crochet, single crochet, half double, and double, and 2 treble crochet, 4 double crochet, now half double and single crochet. Now that finishes up the second petal. So again, we're going to slip stitch into the center of the clover. So just insert your hook and slip stitch, again making sure this stitch is a little tight. And now we basically just need to repeat that sequence for the other 2 petals. So go ahead and finish up crocheting your next 2 petals. We'll meet back up. We'll talk about binding off and weaving in our tails. Okay, at this point I've finished making my last single crochet for the last petal, and I need to slip stitch into the center of the clover. And now we're ready to bind off. I like to take the tail where we bind it off and just take it directly into the center of the clover and just kind of pull that tight. That's also going to make the shaping a little bit better there. It's going to pull the end together and pull it with the stem there. And then we'll just flip it over and we'll just work this under some of the stitches here going up the side of that petal or that leaf. And then I'm just going to work it back through the other side. And then we'll just trim that tail. Now we just have this one last tail here in the center from where we started. And then again, I'm just going to thread it under some of these stitches here, the densest portion, to help hide this tail. Okay, now at this point you will probably need to do a little bit of blocking. Now you don't necessarily have to wet block these. You can actually stretch it out a bit with your fingers, and really all it needs is to be flattened out a little bit, but you can wet block this. So you would pin it down, saturate it with water in order to get it to lay flat. But as you can see, working with it with your hands actually does a pretty good job. This concludes our discussion today on the 4-leaf clover. Stay tuned for more free patterns and video tutorials at BHookedCrochet.com.